Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on Above Us Only Sky by Michele Youngstone. Above Us Only Sky tells the story of Prudence Vilkas, who is born with a pair of wings on her back. Thinking the wings a birth defect, her parents immediately have the wings removed, but the scar and absence of her wings continues to haunt Prudence throughout her life, and she realizes that her wings are a birthright and that many generations of women have had these wings as well. When Prudence receives a telephone call from her Lithuanian grandfather, she learns from her grandfather of the history of her ancestors and the trials that her ancestors had to face under the reigns of Stalin and Hitler. Above Us Only Sky is a novel about family, home, and love, and it's time for Prudence to embrace both her past and her future. First of all, I won this book on Goodreads, so thank you very much, Goodreads. You may be thinking to yourself, from my synopsis, wait a minute, this sounds like The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton, and you will be correct. I haven't even read The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. I just know a lot about it from a lot of other booktubers talking about it and saying how much they loved it. And yeah, that book is about a young woman who learns that she has wings on her back as well. And that is totally the same plot in this book. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying, if you like The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, you might want to check this out too. You might really like this as well. I would say that this is kind of like the adult fiction equivalent of that book. I couldn't quite give this book 4 stars. Very, very close though. So to start off with the good stuff about the book, I thought it was wonderfully written, just very gorgeous in its descriptions and details, and just an overall beautiful, heartwarming story. The overall themes in this book are about family and acceptance, and those are the things that I particularly enjoyed the most. And then in general, I also loved the idea of the book. I like this idea of a girl who was born with a pair of wings. Those wings were removed, and throughout her entire life, she constantly thinks to those wings, and she feels like those wings are still present even though they are gone. Michele Youngstone, her narrative also is just very finely woven. At first, I thought the book was going to be a big chaotic mess, but once you get to the end, you kind of realize what Michele Youngstone was kind of going for, and then how everything eventually ties in together by the very end of the book. For instance, things that you didn't think would be important at the beginning end up being very important by the very end. Even though I did like Prudence's half of the narrative, I particularly really enjoyed the historical aspect of the narrative, which would, in between Prudence's story, it would flash back to World War II, where it would focus on Prudence's grandparents and their journey. I just thought that was a neat way to kind of tell Prudence her history. Her grandfather, when he calls her up, he wants to tell her the history of her people, that they used to live in Lithuania, but they were all, banished, exiled from Lithuania when the Nazis came. So I like how her grandfather is telling Prudence this history of the Lithuanian people, and at the same time telling her about her ancestors who also had wings, and that her wings were not just some random birth defect. The reason I ended up giving this book 3 stars, it was mostly because of the first half of the novel. The first half of the novel kind of got a bit too chaotic for me. I often felt like I was introduced to too many characters at once. Seriously, there's megatons of characters, and they're all thrown at you, and yeah, by the end of the book, you better remember who they all are. The general structure of the novel is also very interesting. Some of the story takes place in 2005, some of the story takes place in 1989, some of the story takes place in the 1940s, and then some of the story takes place in like 1992, something like that. So yeah, you get all these multiple different time frames, and they all interweave within each other. I didn't have a problem with the back and forth narrative. That was fine with me. I never really particularly got lost. I think Michele Youngstone did okay, making sure you knew exactly where you were. But what I had a problem with is that I never felt like I got to know these characters. I felt like I only ever got to know these characters on the surface level. I mean, Prudence is supposed to be the main character. She's the one whose journey you're going on with, the girl who had her wings removed, and her father is telling her all these stories and her history. But you just don't ever get to know anything about Prudence, really, other than the fact that she had wings removed. So yeah, I think the first half of the book is really rocky. It's kind of tough to get into. You gotta kind of push yourself through the first half of the book. But the second half of the book is definitely the best part. Like I said, the second part kind of gets more into the historical aspect of the novel, and you suddenly are in the perspective of Prudence's grandfather's sister. You're in her perspective. Hopefully that just made sense. But yeah, overall, this was a truly beautiful book. The writing was wonderful. I think Michele Youngstone, she did a good job with what she could. I just feel like a lot of people will go into this a tad bit confused and find it a bit of a mess at the start. But seriously, once you get through the first half of the book, you will definitely love the second half, I think, once you see how everything is tying in together. And like I said earlier too, I just overall loved the symbolism going on in the books and the themes. So yeah, those are definitely the highlights of the book. So, do you guys plan on reading this book or not? Just let me know in the comments below. And also, if you have read it, please tell me your thoughts. So that's it for this book review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you liked this book review, you may like these other book reviews. Bye guys.